Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. Here to bring the latest that we have on what's going to happen weather-wise across the entire lower 48 for your Thursday. All in all, very quiet day. We'll talk about the risk of strong and severe storms across areas of the high plains. We'll speak on this incredible air mass across the eastern U.S. I mean, areas pretty far south are seeing temperatures that you would typically see in I would say mid-September, even late September, maybe even early October for certain areas. So a pretty impressive air mass that has a staying power with it. You know, I'm not saying it's going to last, through the rest of August or anything like that, but, we're in the middle of a pretty long 3, 4, even 5-day stretch of pretty comfortable temperatures across areas of the east. So it's pretty crazy to see in mid to late August for certain areas. For other areas, temperature-wise, it's pretty average to see this type of stuff, like the Great Lakes region, even the Northeast. But the further south you get, the more impressive this air mass really is. But we'll speak on that after we get done kind of zipping through today's portion of the forecast. We will give you an update on the tropics. We'll go over all the overnight to this morning's model guidance that we have. Are we seeing any significant shifts from what we've been discussing over the last few videos as far as it being quiet out there? Are we seeing any kind of signs that things are going to pick up in activity? We'll discuss all that in the second half of the video. Timestamps will be up. But all in all, I'm not going to keep you for 45 minutes or anything like that. But of course, I always say that, and I end up doing that right. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Folks, it's pretty slow right now. So I have time to just really take some extra time on these comments, these prayer requests. And I'll be honest, what is it, August 22nd? I thought that we would be full speed ahead at this point with the tropics. I mean, a lot of people did, and I thought that we would be tracking the tropics like crazy right now, but we're not. It's pretty quiet. So, reach out to me if you need someone to talk to. You got an unspoken prayer request, or you got a prayer request you don't want to put in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. If it's unspoken, put that. Allow us to pray for you. It's a way to glorify God. It's very important. Important portion and part to this channel and this family atmosphere that we have. So with all that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So this is what's going on across the country. The eastern U.S. is pretty quiet, as you can tell. You don't see any blobs of green, yellow, red, orange. It's because there, a cold front has sagged all the way to the south. In fact, I'm going to do this on the fly here and actually look at the surface fronts here. And here it is. I mean, look at this long front draped across a huge portion of the country, and it's stalled out all the way down here in the northern Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of the southeast, where you do have moisture kind of lingering around, and there is moisture kind of closer to the boundaries. But once you get deep inside kind of this air mass and this actual cold high pressure, I mean, guys, it's quiet. I mean, it's clear sky, some high clouds out there. Temperatures, though, cool, comfortable. We still have this upper low associated with this trough that continues to bring a shower activity across the interior sections of the Northeast. And we do have impulses of energy kind of coming off this ridge, one up here in the Dakotas, one here in the central plains of Kansas and Nebraska. We're waking up to some heavy rain and some storms, and we have some activity across the Four Corners region too, and actually a storm system that's trying to bring some moisture to the Pacific Northwest. It's been pretty quiet out there as far as storm systems as of late, and then we got some moisture hanging out around Florida, even into South Georgia and off the coast of South Carolina this morning. But watches, warnings, advisories. Once again, another hot day across Texas, areas of Oklahoma, where we do have heat advisories in the orange, excessive heat warnings in the purple. Red flag warnings are starting to become a little bit more widespread across the Rockies. We need a good storm system to really soak you guys out here to get rid of these really dry conditions. So hopefully that happens. But as you can tell, there's some flood watches kind of hanging out around those red flag warnings. So hopefully we can get some moisture in this area soon. And then we do have some heat advisories down here in the southern tip of Florida. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I know my head kind of is in you guys' way down here some mornings. But the excessive rainfall outlet, we do have a slight risk in the Four Corners region. Areas of Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and that yellow, that is where we have at least a 15% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles in the given location. So a good bit of rain could fall in this area today depending on your location. Storm Prediction Center, just pockets of marginal risk. I mean, we do have a risk of severe weather. Not as common the further west you get out here in the Rockies, Salt Lake City down to Cedar City, almost over to Las Vegas, but not expecting a lot of thunderstorm activity there. But a risk of not only thunderstorms, but severe weather across Utah, even a very small section of extreme eastern Nevada, and northern and really more so northwestern Arizona. Marginal risk across the high plains of Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. And then we got a marginal risk up here in areas of the north central U.S. And this is really just driven off some gusty winds, some hail. Tornado risk not going to be very high with this, but just kind of a weird look on the Storm Prediction Center this morning, where there's just embedded impulses of energy in the pattern that's really driving these risks of severe weather. So let's go on and jump down to the southeast. I'm going to update this really fast. These are actual air temperatures right now. Folks, very comfortable air mass. Atlanta over to Birmingham, kind of dealing with a little bit of an impulse of moisture. So your temperatures have not been able to drop as low this morning. So upper 60s, even low 70s. But once you head over to South Carolina, up into the Carolina 60s, just widespread sub 55 degree temperatures in North Carolina. Not just sub 60 degree, but I mean, it's like 55 degrees or lower. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some upper 40s somewhere in these really country areas of North Carolina. Kentucky, very comfortable. Chilly in the mountains of the Alps and southern and central Alps. A little bit warmer this morning in like Nashville, 60 degrees, but very comfortable temperatures. It's definitely warmer in Tennessee this morning than it was yesterday morning. You'll probably notice a little bit of a warmer temperatures, but it's still very nice. Very nice conditions across the south this morning for sure. The further south you get, the more in the moisture you get. But as far as moisture falling from the sky, rain, shower, storm activity, we continue to move forward. We're probably going to get some shower and storm activity in southern Georgia today, where moisture's hanging out around this area. Cooler, dry air has not been able to fully penetrate this area. So with enough moisture, juice in the atmosphere, you're going to have the opportunity for showers and storms to form. Once you get into South Carolina, I think they're all in the coastal sections of South Carolina. You could get a risk of some showers and some storms, but I think that the chances lower significantly once you go from Georgia to South Carolina coast. But widespread shower and storm activity across really anywhere in Florida today. Some people will get a lot of rain, some people won't. But, watch out for a kind of a convergent zone of some of these storms in kind of central to north central Florida, like Gainesville. I mean, even down to Orlando and everywhere in between. Watch out for these storms today. They could produce some flooding, especially if it just storms continuously over some of the same areas. So watch out for that. So I would say the highlight area for any significant weather is certainly going to be Florida today. We head on up the road and we look at our fine folks up here in New England, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. We'll update that. What's wild is Maine is actually warmer than any other state across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic this morning. It just kind of the orientation of this trough, you're actually associated with the upper low, so it's actually bringing a little bit of moisture to the surface, kind of. Now, don't want to nerd out on you guys too much, but it's allowing for your wet bulb temperatures just to be a little bit higher. So your temperatures are not able to drop as much in the mornings with just the pattern that's in place. But, once you kind of get away from these bodies of water, you get tucked into the mountains across New England and Northeast, even the Mid-Atlantic. Temperatures well down into the 40s and the 50s. Very comfortable morning. More of a kind of an early September morning for sure. Very nice out here. But of course, guys, I mean, we're getting into the later half of August now. We are definitely in the later half of August with it being in the 20s. This isn't super uncommon. The temperatures up in the Northeast in the 50s and 40s, it's nice, but it's not, totally abnormal or anything like that. But as far as what's going to happen weather-wise today up here, that pesky low continues to spin up here in Maine. This will just bring some showers, even some rumbles of thunder, so maybe pea-sized hail with some of these showers and storms, especially in like the western half of Maine, even Vermont, New Hampshire, up into the Adirondacks of New York. We'll just have to watch for these little showers will spin around, but I don't think it's going to impact anybody's lives or anything, or impact travel or anything like that too significantly. Just some showers, And it looks like as we get into like our Friday, I think today is kind of your last day of this just kind of wraparound moisture up in the Northeast. as we get into tomorrow, that upper low will kind of move deeper and further north up into Canada, and we'll be done with it at least for a period. The south central U.S., you're certainly not getting much of this air mass. Now, it is pretty nice in like Arkansas this morning, points northeast. I mean, it's very comfortable, but the air mass is much more fleeting in this area just because of where the cold front is settled in. When we get into this afternoon, widespread shower and storm activity is possible up in Colorado. Once you get into eastern Colorado, some of these will hit severe limits, especially like northeastern Colorado. And we could get some pulse showers and storms down here in south central Texas. I mean, same thing as yesterday, around maybe San Antonio, even over to San Angelo possible, Austin. You guys have a possibility of this. Not going to be significant at all. I'm sure you guys are wanting the rain at this point. But showers and storms will surge through northeast Colorado. We'll try to enter southwestern Nebraska, northwestern Kansas as we get into the middle of the night tonight. And we could be waking up to rain in the same areas that are experiencing it right now tomorrow morning as this morning. So just watch out for some severe weather up here in Colorado for sure. Now the north central U.S., as we get into this afternoon, I do want you guys to pay attention to some storms, some that could be strong to severe up here in northern Minnesota, even areas of eastern North Dakota. You know, it's very everywhere, I would say. You know, you got a plume of moisture here, back over here. But just know that there will be a risk of strong to severe storms where there will be storms. So just be aware of that. And just a lot of scattered activity across the northern half of Minnesota today into tonight, too. I mean, as we're getting even into like the wee hours of the morning, we're going to be waking up to some shower, maybe even some thunderstorm activity, more so just some shower kind of areas of heavy rain, bursts of heavy rain in northern Wisconsin, the UP and Michigan. And of course, you back this up. Just watch out for those storms in the high plains of western Nebraska. Some of this could ooze into southern sections of South Dakota today, but just kind of two areas, one over here and then one down here. Now we look across the west, a couple little things going on. A lot of storm activity, which I wouldn't say it's a little, it's a lot of storm activity in Utah, areas of Arizona. I mean, look at all this activity here. In fact, I'm going to just go on and zoom into the southwest here. Let's get a little bit closer for my folks that are tuning in from this area of the country. I mean, we get into about 1 to 2 o'clock this afternoon. Look at all this scattered activity. I mean, it's widespread. Could have some clustering of some storms that could be strong to severe here in southern and southwestern Utah and northern Arizona. These could pack a punch. And I'm going to have to move this to that. And just will continue late into the evening, and then will probably diminish. Now you look at how much rainfall could fall from these showers and storms. I mean, certain areas in southern and southwestern Utah and northwestern Arizona could get 1 inch to 2 inches of rain. Good bit of rain possible for areas of Colorado. I mean, even northwestern New Mexico too. Some areas could get 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain. So, you know, we'll be certainly aware of that. And then you look up in the Pacific Northwest. I can find the tab here. There it is. Certainly scattered rains today. Here's how much rain could fall between now and the next 24 hours. We'll actually go all the way out to the next, heck, let's just go all the way out to about Saturday evening. Looks like you guys have your first, I wouldn't say significant, but first appreciable rainstorm on the way, as it's been pretty quiet over the summer. So, I mean, this is between now and the next 60 hours, you know, about Saturday evening. You know, Seattle could get inch and 1/4 of rain between now and then. And of course, with the push against the higher elevations of the Cascades and the coastal range, the upslope flow, you know, it's going to squeeze out more of that moisture. So you're going to get more rain up in the mountainous areas, the Olympic Mountains, and these folks over here. But, you know, just to look at the radar over the next 24 hours, I would say, and this is how it could look. Just a big coastal storm moving in. Not very active today, but as we get into the overnight hours, a lot more activity begins to move in, maybe a quiet period tomorrow morning, and then more moisture will take over late tomorrow. So we definitely have to watch this storm system. Don't want to leave you guys hanging out here. Now, temperatures, as far as high temperatures today, 50s, 60s for highs up here in the Northeast, 70s across the Mid-Atlantic, 80s for the southeast. The further west you get, the warmer the temperatures get. Western deep south, 90s and 80s. Hundreds once again in Texas. I think I saw where Abilene, Texas hit like 110 yesterday. Ohio Valley, 70s, maybe some low 80s. So very comfortable. We look out west. High Plains warm again. Not as warm as it's been though, but temperatures will soar into the mid to upper 90s as far north as like eastern Colorado, and I mean maybe even southwestern Nebraska. Valley regions warming on up, like in Idaho, for example. Definitely some heating up into, and moisture up into Utah and Arizona that will allow and aid for some of that shower and storm development. But just cloud cover, kind of some scattered rains, keeping things cooler up here in the coastal regions, the Pacific Northwest. But once you get into the western sections of Washington, the eastern sections of Washington and Oregon, it definitely starts to warm up some. So that's it for today's forecast. Now we go on and switch gears when we talk about the tropics. I always want to start off by looking at the latest information from the National Hurricane Center. Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. I cannot reiterate how uncommon this is. I wouldn't say super rare or anything like that, but one, it's uncommon even on like a slow season or an average hurricane season. But this was predicted to be a hyperactive season, right? And here we are sitting at August 22nd, and there's not even an area of interest out there. So it's pretty wild stuff, guys. We've been talking about it nonstop over the last couple of days about how wild this is. I've been talking about it a lot on social media, mainly Twitter, X. It's wild. It really is. So this is the Atlantic Basin. It's quiet in the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean, Southwest Atlantic, the Atlantic Basin. You see activity out here. This is what we call the monsoon trough, the main development region, the MDR, tropical Atlantic. And we have to watch to see how this breaks down. Is there little impulses of energy that can actually get together and kind of form into a formable tropical wave? We're not expecting that. We really aren't. There is a little bit more of shower and storm activity this morning compared to yesterday morning out here. But all in all, nothing really consolidating. Nothing really kind of coming together into a dominant piece of energy. Now, one thing I want to watch is, of course, we got the trough digging down here, all the way into here, and we got the cold front in place. Areas of energy I want to watch here in the Gulf of Mexico that can form, maybe drift westward across the central to western Gulf of Mexico, and maybe try to form somewhere into here. Some model guidance, really just the GFS is starting to pick up on that. And we'll speak on that here in a second. But all in all, folks, it's quiet. It really is. Just learning from others out there in the community, and just basic observations for myself. A lot of people want to quickly say, well, it's the Saharan dust that's preventing tropical development. Well, it absolutely is, and I would agree with you. A lot of people are saying that the tropical waves are coming off Africa too far north, and I would definitely agree with that. As when they come off just a little bit too far north, like in this area right here, instead of like this area down here, when they kind of come off up here, they encounter more dry, dusty air coming off North Africa and lower sea surface temperatures. And I think that's been an issue with these tropical waves also. You got those two things. Now there's a little bit of an issue with the upper wind pattern out here too that's just preventing this to get together. So if you really try to look for a dominant answer on why, there really isn't one answer. I think that it's easy to figure out what's going on right this moment, right, based off observations. It's a combination of all those three things I mentioned. A lot of people want to say dry air, dry air, dry air, but folks, I would ask you this: there was a ton of dry air with Beryl too, a ton of dry air. In fact, it was an outbreak of dry air just north of Beryl. But what happened with Beryl? Beryl got so far south in latitude that, and it was such a well put together tropical wave just from the get-go that it was able to cocoon itself with a pretty moist atmosphere. So the next question is, why can't these tropical waves do it? Well, it's because there's other factors too. And sometimes I just think there's factors that we don't really know. I really do. I think the bigger question outside of all that is, why isn't models latching on to anything in like the 7 to 10 day range. And that's exactly what we're about to scoot to here in a second. So that's the big question. So think about that as we continue to move through this video. That's the big question. You know, we expect the environment to be favorable out here, the Atlantic background to be pretty favorable. So why isn't model showing anything? It's a good question. So let's start off by this. Let's look at the Caribbean Gulf of Mexico. I want to watch one system closer to home that could develop. And, you know, we're going to start this off tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot going on, just scattered tropical moisture across, you know, areas that we typically see it, and we should see it. You know, blobs of green out here is just tropical downpours and storms. Now, we continue to get our way all the way into next Monday, August the 26th. I want you to watch and kind of keep your eyes on this area right here. And kind of keep this going. All of a sudden, you see this kind of area right here that's kind of separating itself a little bit more, and then all of a sudden it looks like you got that deep blob of kind of I would say yellow orange right here, and to me that looks like some sort of system about a week from today trying to develop in the northern Gulf of Mexico, then scoot west and then make a technical landfall into Texas or Louisiana. I want to watch this feature, and I've been mentioning it a little bit over the last 4 to 5 days about there's going to be that leftover cold front is going to try to sometimes, when they do this, when they sag this far south, this typically happens more so in late September, October, when you have cold fronts just on average begin to scoot further south. But of course, we have kind of an abnormal cold front dipping pretty south pretty aggressively for this time of the year. So this is certainly going to bring an opportunity for one of those what we call homegrown activity kind of setups. So I do want to watch that. You can see it a lot better when you look at energy in the low levels of the atmosphere. So this is 850 millibar volts, energy about a mile up in the air. And if you look right here, you'll see how a piece of energy tries to start to come together right into there. You see those kind of vibrant yellows, oranges, and reds right there. That is a tropical wave, a little weak tropical system that tries to come together at the last second. We've been watching this for a while. I've been watching it. And that is something kind of sneaky in the shorter term that I think is worth paying attention to. Now, based off model guidance saying, hey, you know, this energy is not going to really fully get into the Gulf of Mexico and have a chance until early next week. So, of course, it's Thursday morning, early next week. Still got, you know, a few to several days. So that's something to watch. Now, I will tell you, the Euro doesn't show much. It shows a big plume of tropical moisture right in here. So it does show something, but never consolidates it into really anything. I would say right into here, like next Tuesday, looks like it has something there, maybe. But all in all, it's a very sloppy look. And, you know, we kind of go down here and we look at the same thing, energy in the low levels of the atmosphere. Can you really see a dominant feature anywhere in there? Not really. You kind of back it up, and that's it. It's actually right here. It's about a day or two earlier on the Euro. So you see that little area right in here? You just got to watch that. You know, honestly, if I'm in Texas and Louisiana, I'm pulling for this because you guys cannot seem to get, you know, when you can't, it seems like you kind of feast or famine with the rain right now in Texas and areas of Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. It's like, you know, you're either getting a ton of rain or no rain, and this could certainly bring in some much needed rain. So this is something to watch. It's a little feature. So we'll continue to kind of look back out into the main development region. This is an area of the Atlantic that starts to get active this time of the year. What about out here? This is the latest 06Z GFS. I hadn't even finished running it, so this information is going to be new to me like it is to y'all, unless you've looked at the model guidance already before watching this video. But we continue to move this forward, and there's a big wave coming pretty low in latitude, kind of coming off Africa. Is it going to do anything? It tries. It tries to do something. You can see the L down here. Yeah, but, you know, it doesn't really fully get its act together. And now we're all the way a week from right now, 180 hours out, you know, August the 29th. There's still nothing out here. And remember, we're starting to get in that range that the Climate Prediction Center says, hey, you know, we're watching in the 28th through the 3rd, September 3rd time frame. There's a high chance we're going to be supposed to be tracking something, a depression or higher. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, we get all the way into like next Saturday. Okay, not this Saturday, the last day of August, first Saturday of college football season. That's the way I always think about it. And now, okay, we got a tropical wave out here, but you know, it just really never gets its act together. And then it finally starts to get its act together in the Eastern Caribbean. And you kind of back up and look at this, and it looks like we got something getting its act together too now here, a little bit closer. In fact, you know, let's look a little bit closer here. You know, so this is, you know, getting into, so all of a sudden, Tuesday morning, not next Tuesday morning, the Tuesday morning after next Tuesday morning, September 3rd, all of a sudden you got this tropical wave beginning to enter the Eastern Caribbean. And then you got some sort of wave in the Western Caribbean. And then all of a sudden, it's bombs away. We're sitting here with a major hurricane in the Central Caribbean, and we have a tropical storm in the Central Gulf of Mexico turning into a hurricane. But guys, that's over 300 hours out. So I would say this is the most aggressive GFS run that we've seen in a day and a half. But all this activity is getting going when? In the long range. Okay? So you flip this and you look at the actual European model run. Okay, what is it saying? Well, let's just go on and just jump to 240 hours out, and there's nothing. There's nothing out here. You just got tropical moisture. So we go all the way out to the evening of August the 31st, and you just don't have anything out here showing up. Now we kind of flip this and we look at the Caribbean, etc., and just a lot of tropical moisture. Now, I mean, nothing really kind of coming together. Now, there is waves out here, but as far as the precipitation outlook, there's nothing to see out here. And we look at the European ensemble, folks, and it's a very low anemic signal. I mean, there's not a whole lot. There's a couple L's out here, but remember, this makes up 51 members. And so this is a pretty low signal. Now, we do look at the GEFS, which I think is still running. And we're actually going to have to flip this. Look at that. And look at this, and then do all this rigmarole here. And it does get pretty active. I mean, but let's just take this about, let's say about 11 days out. There's still very scattered signals. I mean, it's very scattered about. There's nothing too crazy out there at all. So it's kind of like what I said 2 days ago. Let's watch model guidance today into tomorrow morning. See if we see anything start to latch on to anything. But it's been pretty quiet in model guidance. Now, I will say the Caribbean, I'm sorry, the Pacific, which is an area that was supposed to be quiet, more quiet this hurricane season, is out here taking names quite literally left and right. I mean, we got a major hurricane, Gilma, at this point in the Eastern Pacific. It's a 115-mile-per-hour hurricane, very impressive. We got this area of interest right here that has a high chance of developing into a depression or maybe even a named storm. And we got this area also that's in more so into the Central Pacific. And this, you know, has an opportunity to get really close to Hawaii. And if we take a look at what's going on out here in the Eastern Pacific, there's Mexico, there's the Caribbean right here, there's the Gulf of Mexico. There's that area of interest right here. And then there's Hurricane Gilma that's basically just turning in one spot out here in the Pacific. So it's popping off out there. And the Pacific's not even in a super favorable state right now. The Atlantic has been in a decently favorable state for a good bit of time now and just is not producing. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.